Okay, hey everybody. We're going to do this mock pregame for you guys use in camps and clinics and stuff. Before we get started, I'm going to do a little introductions, and then we'll kind of tell you our direction we're going to go. My name is Jeff Cross, and to my left is
Chad Ozy.
And then to my right is
Greg Walter.
Okay, Greg Walters this will be his second year coming up NCAA, and then Chad is on his third or fourth year? Fourth year of NCAA women's basketball. So we have the perfect combination here as far as, am I yelling, you think?
You're fine.
Okay. We have the perfect combination as far as, a nice early November, late November crew. So, all right. So typically, everyone should show up with their NCAA rule books, their case books, stuff like that. As a first-year official, you may or may not have those available to you, whatever it is. But we always typically keep those in our bag. You keep yours in your bag. I know some people that have multiple copies of those. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to pretend like this is a November game, probably our first game. You know what I mean? Maybe Greg's first game of the year, maybe our first game in general of the year. So we're going to get started, and we are maintaining our 6 feet distance, so just in case anybody's wondering. So, all right. So as we sit down, typically we'll just, for the purpose of the meeting, crew chief, you 1, you 2, okay? And we would sit down and let's say, maybe around, typically you want to arrive to a game in 90 minutes, maybe 60 minutes prior to a game, whatever that is, 75 minutes. And then we'll spend 15, 20 minutes just kind of getting together and getting, comfortable, maybe some shorts and kind of, decompressing from the travel or whatever it is. So we're going to fast forward into, here we go. So I would typically start off a pregame with something along the lines of, before we get completely dressed, let's just talk for a few minutes and just go over where we want to go. So I would like to congratulate you, Greg, for making it into the NCAA women's basketball. I know that's been a goal of yours, and I know that's your hard work has been rewarded, so I'm happy for you on that. So,
thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Greg, have you met Chad before? You guys know each other,
We
right?
do know each other, yeah.
Have you guys worked together in any NCAA games or anything?
Not any NCAA games, no.
Okay, but last year had you or no?
Yeah, last year we worked JUCO together.
So you worked JUCO together, and how'd that go?
Pretty smooth.
Yeah, I thought we had a comfort level just knowing each other from high school associations, but yeah, I thought we worked really well together.
Yeah. Was there any issues that came up between, when you had those games and, anything that was glaring?
No, it was a pretty simple game that day.
Yeah.
Not that close and competitive,
Yeah.
so it was a great game to get feet wet and,
Sure.
and be working through mechanics, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. How did it go for you, Greg? What'd you think?
I loved every minute of it. I thought the quality of ball was better. Just the way the coaches interact with you. They obviously know the rules of the game, and they try to challenge me a couple times in conversation with keywords, and I just made sure that I was answering with keywords back, like marginal or lateral, and answered their question. We moved on, and that was the end of it. So.
Yeah. Okay. So if you were, just because I've never worked an NCAA game with you before, could you just maybe tell me what do you think is something that is you're still struggling in the NCAA women's game, mechanically, rules wise, whatever that is? What are you struggling with right now?
It's probably a two-part question or two scenario. Inbounding the ball, the four points. Designating spots. That's probably still a challenge that I'm still getting used to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like my positioning has gotten better on the floor, but I'm always checking myself to take a look at that shot clock. Always trying to look at the shot clock, and then I get in the game mode sometimes and get my head on a swivel, and it's like, okay, where were we at? So,
Right.
But
so the 4 designated spots are struggling, and then checking the shot clock.
Mm-hmm.
Since this is your first Division III, NCAA Division III game, I want you to really, still stay in that path. But if you could take that off your table tonight, and if you want to not worry about that tonight, don't worry about that tonight. We have enough play-by-play at the table and things like that. So if that'll ease your anxiety a little bit, by all means take it off, because we still may need you in that scenario. But please don't put undue pressure on yourself to get that clock, time of possession, things like that.
Okay.
If we can help in that way, we'll like to do that.
Appreciate
But
it.
if you get it, great. Okay.
Always strive.
Yeah. Chad, do you remember when you first started? What were some things that you really struggled
Oh
with?
my gosh. Everything's swimming through your head at once, whether it's, different rotations than a high school setting, or just, trying to keep rules differences, things like that in your head there. So I think for me, when I was starting out, the biggest thing was just slow down, breathe.
Yeah.
It's still basketball,
Mm-hmm.
and we're still appreciating basketball. And the more we do that, then the easier it is for the other stuff to come to us. But once I was able to figure that out, I think it helped me so much as I was moving forward.
Yeah. I think, and we talk about it all the time, and it's not going to be any different tonight when we apply what we're doing tonight is, we are at our best when we are ourselves. So, the more time we can be ourselves on the floor, probably the better product we're going to give coaches and players, and your partners. So, do your best. Do what you got to do to be yourself and be comfortable in your skin and your work that you've put in. It's here. So we're on this spot. So, so congratulations on your first Division III game. Me and Chad are really looking forward to having that experience with you. And, you'll remember it. You'll remember this date, November 15th, on a Saturday afternoon. You worked at North Park, and it'll go down in history. So
Look forward to it.
hopefully. So
Absolutely.
so before we get started, so let's just let's go over the new rules. You know what I mean? So we kind of refresh everyone since it's early season. So we have, Greg's already mentioned the 4 designated spots, which is the tick marks and the 28-foot marks. One of those 4 spots. And we can only have that is when we have a foul by the defense when the offense is in control of the ball. Okay? So, if we have a shot, there's no team control, and we have a foul by the defense, we won't be looking at designated spots in that situation. We're just going to be looking at designated spots, which typically those come into play, hand-checking fouls, things like that when the ball handler is just we don't have those coming from playing shooting fouls or anything like that, and they very rarely come into play on off-ball fouls either. So just something to remember. So we'll kind of go into the next part of that rule, which is a 20-second shot clock. One of the things I remember distinctly about the 20-second shot clock, everybody was, instead of going 30, we go to 20. One of the anxieties were, it's, shot clock operator's going to mess it up. But if we really look at it and we look at the times that we go to 20, a big majority, I hate to give you numbers of 90, 80%, but a big majority of the time when we go to 20, the clock is already stopped. When we blow the whistle for a foul, the clock is stopped, and we have time to evaluate where the shot clock will be. So don't put a whole lot of pressure on, if we're going to get that. So just something to remember. What are some of the other new rules? You remember any, Chad? So we have...
Well, we're going to make sure that when we're shooting free throws, that we're gonna bring them in before the first.
Very good, yeah.
Or after the last completed and made free throw.
So which would be different, it's still the same with last year. So, so that's, if we have a 2-shot free throw, that's only going to come in after the first free throw is shot. I'm sorry.
No.
Before
the first free throw shot, last free throw, after the second one is completed, then we can bring them in. So that'll take a little bit of, again, table might have to really understand that. We may find ourselves balking at go ahead, come on in, and somebody hopefully will come to their senses and say, hold on a second. And this is what I'll tell you, it's not the end of the world if someone starts to come in, right? And we go, it all of a sudden appears to us, we'll just bring it back off. It's not a big deal. So this isn't life threatening. So what other new things do we have? Greg, do you remember any other new ones? It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, no, I'm not off the top of my head.
Okay.
Well, we've got the whole technical foul rename, and also now we're just going to have our intentional fouls and our technical fouls.
Mm-hmm.
We're not worrying about unsportsmanlike or unsporting fouls. So we're back to that. And it's going to be fouls of equal gravity at that point.
Yeah, and we also have that if we have a technical foul or an intentional foul, whatever it is, they're all going to be the ball at the division line.
Yep.
Unless, of course, this administrative technical foul happens before the game.
Yep.
So then we'll always start the game with the jump ball. If we fall into a situation where we have intentionals or technical fouls or whatever that is, throttle down, slow her down, downshift, don't amp up, somebody, even if I'm given the technical foul, it's very common for us to hit the accelerator and start pushing through all that. Somebody needs to step in front of the moving vehicle and slow us down, and hopefully we can, talk through that so we don't, put the ball in the wrong spot or, administrate that incorrectly. And then if we have situations to where we need to bring coaches together, let's make sure that, I'll be there to kind of navigate the language, but I need someone to, not only to hear what I'm saying, but to edit me also. If I say something incorrectly, somebody speak up. Someone, say, hey, Jeff, you mean technical foul, right? Not intentional foul, whatever it is. Another part of that rule, too, is, this year we have the technical and intentional, one of each, to the same player equals a disqualification. So, again, another reason we need to throttle down. So, anything else am I missing there that's major? Or? I think that's most of them. There's a few, obviously we want to watch bench decorum. The NCAA is big on bench decorum. And, I like to say, wherever you draw the line, then it's the line for all of it. Some people can tolerate more, some people can tolerate less. It doesn't make a difference. If you think this coach or this player has gone too far and you want to warn someone, then everyone needs to be aware that they've been warned, that coach, whatever it is. And, that brings me to a different topic also, that if I'm talking to a coach and a coach brings up there's something they're sensitive to, maybe, hey, listen, I think my point guard's getting hand checked a lot. This is what we all need to realize. If they're telling me, because I'm over there by the coach, they believe they told everyone. Even though they haven't told you, I haven't told you, I haven't told you. So no one really knows. So if you can kind of watch the game out of the tops and the bottom of your eyes a little bit and notice there's a conversation, maybe read just a few lips to figure out, we talk about hand checks. Maybe you'll see a mannerism, whatever that is, so that way you can be aware until we get a chance to discuss it. On to my other topic is, I learned this from an official from a long time ago. I've never seen anybody get postseason assignments because during timeouts they stood at the correct spots. They just don't get it, right?
That's great.
So I'm not worried about if we're not going to be discussing, then go to your correct spot, obviously. But if we are discussing, don't be afraid to discuss, because that's information that we want to take that opportunity to share, right? So Greg, what would be something that would be important to you tonight that's going to set you up for some success? What can Chad and I do for you to help make things better for you?
I think we've already started a good place. I feel comfortable. I definitely trust you guys. Hope that you put the same trust in me that I have in you, and we see an equal floor. But feel free to critique, push me. I want to get to that next level. So if you see something, grab me in that timeout or a dead ball, and let's correct it right now so I can make it a habit versus a practice. So.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: do you feel like maybe this might be a test for you tonight? To get to your first Division III assignment.
Yeah, being with you two, absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I like that. So,
do I have your attention?
Absolutely.
You've already passed the test.
Okay.
That's why you're here. Right?
Appreciate it.
You've already passed the test, so that's why you're here. So that's what we want you to go in with, that mindset.
Okay.
Hey, you may be tested again down the line in
Mm-hmm.
a different situation, and situations may come up where you're tested, but right now, don't think about you're being tested. Think about I passed the test. Now it's time for me to perform.
Gotcha.
Fair enough?
Awesome.
How about you, Chad?
Well, if I understood it right, we have replay tonight. We
Yeah.
always get that at a Division III game.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's something I'm still working through, and I haven't had enough reps on a replay game to feel comfortable. So if there's a question, I'm definitely going to look to you for a lead on that.
Okay.
I know if there's an opportunity, I want us to be able to do that. Obviously, don't want it to take away from the game, but in those right moments and making sure that we're going only, when we can, when we're allowed to by rule, that kind of thing. But that's something that'll stretch me a little bit tonight.
Sure.
As I just haven't done as much of that. There's also something I'm working on this season a little bit differently. I'm just trying to get ahead of plays with my positioning. Instead of position, trying to be a little bit more proactive.
Okay.
And so again, it's early in the season, trying to figure that stuff out and all. And so, I may come to you at one of those timeouts or something and say, hey, does it look like I'm too busy out there? Does it not? Just want to find that happy medium.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can definitely, discuss that during timeout, especially if maybe a game gets into a situation to where we have a little more time to focus on that.
Yep.
But at this point, let's, obviously it's November. We might have a lopsided, event, but that's okay. We still want to, good practice causes good habits, causes good game time practice. So we'll try to do that, and then if we have those opportunities, we'll do that. As far as replay, have you ever had a game with replay?
No, I have not.
So, yeah, if we have an opportunity to go to replay, we're going to go. Another thing I like to do, whether it's a game in November or a game in February, I don't care. I'm going to, if I see an opportunity to go in the first period or early in the game, I'm going to go, even if it's to mark a 2 or 3 or something like that, just to let us get comfortable with going, maybe get used to the equipment, whatever might be going on over there. And it also tells whoever's rewinding for us, whether it be the person at the table with the VCR or somebody at the top of the rafters or in a truck or whatever that is, it just lets them know, oh, they're going to use us today. So let's stay on our toes, because the last thing we want is for our first replay to show up with 0.2 to go on a last second shot and they're wrapping the cords up, going, all right, we're done. So we want them to be just engaged in the game, just like we are. So that'll help. That'll help a lot of things. It'll help the scorers table. Help all those things.
Sure.
Cool. That's good. I think that'll be good. Right now I think we're in a good spot. A couple of things I want to make sure we discuss. If we have the intentional, we have technical fouls. I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. We're not going to do that from a distance. We're not going to report technical fouls at the table from the distance. We're not going to report intentional fouls from a distance. We should be leaned over the table, having a discussion with the scorekeeper, slow and steady. This is what we have, technical foul on 14. Whatever that is counts as a team foul, counts as an individual foul. Go over all those steps. And then when you turn around and we're ready to go, or I turn around, or whatever that is, that's when we're going to shoot free throws, right? We don't want any kind of action. I remember a story. I'll share a story with you. I remember a story where I was leaned over telling us, the technical foul, and all of a sudden you hear a woo! I'm like, oh, something happened, right? And my partners were shooting free throws. That was the first free throw, and I, said, hey, just hold on a second. And I leaned over to try and finish it, and I'll be darned if I didn't hear a second cheer. Of course, the dirty look I sent was probably not the best, but yeah, but it happens. It happens to all of us, so just make sure we're all ready. So, let's get a game time, make sure we're sweeping the floor. It's I always say that mom and dad in the top row, they can count 5 on 5. They know when it's 5 on 5. So when it's 6 on 5, we lose a lot of credibility and we're playing the game. If the game's stopped and the clock's running, we lose credibility, or vice versa. So all those things come into play, and I joke about the 5 on 5, and I've said it before, but if I'm counting players and I'm holding you up, Greg, and come on in, we're all done, then I go ahead and give you the pointer, the thumbs up. That doesn't mean start play. That means it's your turn to count them, right? That's what I want.
Absolutely.
I want you to count them now. Now it's your turn. So let's not take anybody for granted. Never, right? We shouldn't take for granted that, whatever. Jeff has 15 years experience, so he's going to have everything correct. Jeff, may had a tough night's sleep or whatever that might be, or maybe is engaged with the coach who is, and then pretty engaged and I'm missing something, things like that. So, not saying manipulate the game by any means, but recognize that that's a similar play. and we go down and have that same similar play, let's try and put those together if possible, because coaches understand that. They understand. Sometimes they try and marry them when they're not compatible, but let's try and do that. So, what else? Anything else?
I'm good.
Yeah, I think we're about to have our first Division III basketball game with Greg. It's going to be an exciting time. It's going to be a time for us to help Greg. You can help me. I always tell young officials that I'm working with. Young officials always say, what'd you see? How can I, but you've passed the test, and that same thing comes back. What'd you see for me to be a better crew chief? So all of us should be trying to elevate. Chad should be asking questions like, what can I do to get to an elevation of a crew chief? What can I do to get an elevation of the next level? Whatever. Those are great mindsets to have. But for tonight, grab 3, 4, 5 minutes, reset, do it again. If it gets really, really bad and we're really, really sinking and we're just not doing well, do your best to take it one possession at a time. Take it 20 seconds, 30 seconds, whatever that possession is, and then, okay, you did it, go to the next one. Dominate your primary tonight. Slow and steady wins the race. All the cliches that you can say, that is what is going to set up for success. Anything else? It's okay if you do. Now's the time.
Now let's go.
You've been invited to the party. Yeah.
Cheers. Let's go.
Hey, just communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Verbally, non-verbally. Let's make sure that we're all locked in all the time.
Yep. It's going to be a great night, and I'm looking forward to being part of it with you guys. All right.
Absolutely.
Good.